Thank you for welcoming me.
How many times have you been to Israel?
Gosh, I've been going to Israel since 1988, and almost every year, even when I was at college, I took the ordinance from college to Israel and my New Testament lecturer. So I would say, give and take, maybe take out 4 years out of that since 1988.
Have you? And have you always been made welcome in Israel?
Yes, yes. I've always been made welcome in Israel. I haven't, of course, security is what it is, and we already knew that. So that I take that in my stride, and I always warn my group how to behave and so on and so forth. But I've never had any trouble in any kind, because I also went to Israel at Yad Vashem. I did a 10-day Holocaust study in Jerusalem, and that was a very, very interesting and informative time. You know, quite moving, the people we met and the rabbis who did the seminar, quite high caliber.
What's your opinion on certain members of the Palestinian authorities that deny the Holocaust?
It's like, I can't believe it's, how can you deny such a thing? It's still in our face, actually. It's not so long ago. And to deny that is then nothing else happened. Even when they say on their side some things have happened that's been painful, people can also deny that, you know. And how can you deny losing people's life the way people did lose their life? I mean, that is a terrible thing. We cannot do that.
And do you think that, because I'm also led to believe schools in Gaza have chosen not to learn and educate the children about the Holocaust. How do you feel about that?
I feel the children will find out for themselves, because now we have internet and all the other stuff. People are naturally inquisitive, and they will, you know, you say, I'm not going to teach you, and then they say, I'll find out for myself. Eventually, their inquiring mind will sort of prompt them to looking, what is this all about?
And do you think if the Palestinian children did learn about the Holocaust, perhaps it would make them understand a little bit about Judaism and Israel?
Yes, because to know the people we regard as our enemy, to get to know them is to get better understanding about them. The more we stay away, the more we are enemies. The more we try to cooperate and talk with one another, come to the table, so to speak, not killing each other, come to the table and talk. Do we have better understanding of each other? And the fears then actually just subside, just go. But the more we stay away, the more we fear.
And do you have an opinion on boycotting Israeli products?
No, I don't think it should be boycotted. I would want to know why it's boycotted.
Because there are some people that will not buy Israeli products because of how they feel about the country.
They need to go to Israel and ask, because that's the most democratic country in the Middle East. So they need to go there and find out for themselves what's going on. Most people who would boycott are the people who probably have never been to Israel, have not interact with the people. On either side, interaction is important so we can have a better understanding, you know.
And I have been to some Palestinian meetings last year I went to.
Yeah.
And there are a number of people there that describe Israel as an apartheid state. What's your opinion of people that describe Israel as an apartheid state?
Maybe they've never experienced South Africa, neither have I, but I've read the book about Let My People Go. It's nothing like what happens in Israel. In Israel, people, more or less, I've been there so many times, people are doing what they want, more or less. And they interact with each other. I wouldn't be able to go if it was an apartheid state. So I wonder what they mean. You know, there are places in this country where it's a no-go area for certain people.
This video is being recorded in London, by the way, in the United Kingdom.
I don't mind. It is true. You know, the fact is the fact. There are certain places that are no-go area. You know, we don't spell it, we don't say it, but we feel it. You know, so we have to be careful when we blame somebody else for something. You know, I had one Bishop, Johnson Tam, who said, when we point finger at someone else, to remember there are 3 more fingers pointing back at us. You know.
And there has been, recently I interviewed a member of the British government, and I asked him if the government recognised Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and he didn't give me an answer. And some politicians say that Jerusalem cannot be the capital of Israel. How do you feel about that?
I have explained that to many people who have given me that same, answer. If Jerusalem cannot be capital, where would they say is best to be capital? For instance, in Jerusalem today, I can go with a group of people, a group of Christians, and feel at home there, like I belong there. Muslim can go there and still feel like I've been there during Ramadan and I know how busy it is because it's sacred to them too. And Jewish people are there and it's their home as well. Now, if it was somewhere else, I wonder where that somewhere else would be and how welcome would some of us be made when we do go there. Would we need a special passport, a special ID card to get there, and would we be turned back? There's that issue we need to think about. I feel it is right that it should be, if nobody think of it that way, it should be the capital because we are welcome. They welcome anybody into Jerusalem. Never mind any other stuff that politicians might or mightn't do. But we feel welcome going to Jerusalem. And I pray it stays like that.
And if you were a politician, how would you go about by creating peace between the Jewish people and the Palestinians?
Actually, I do agree that the Palestinians should also have a state of their own, but not with denial that nobody else should have a state. That we can obliterate certain people and we have everything. So maybe that's the negotiating that needs to happen. Who belongs where? Or let's have this bit for you and that bit for you, but not segregate certain people out altogether. I'm thinking Jerusalem again, Should
people be free to live where they want to live?
Absolutely, I think so. Because we didn't come here with any land, but the land we have settled. For instance, I come from the Seychelles. I've settled in England. I can't call it my home, but it is actually. Because I was born in the Seychelles, but I feel more at home here than I do there. I can't go home to Seychelles and find the people who've come there after me and say, you don't belong there. But I also expect to have a place there, because that's where I was born. I still call it home.
You do a lot of work in Hackney, which is in the United Kingdom, for people that are seeing this video overseas. And there is a Muslim community in Hackney, and there's also a Jewish community in Hackney, and they get on very well, don't they?
Yes. I'm a member of the Council of Christian and Jews for North London. I'm a member of the committee. And I've done Understanding Islam for 3 months in Kesnov Road, the mosque there. They are very nice people. And we have visited mosque and break the fast with them. We have visited synagogue and have understanding and everything that's happened. We do get on very well. Those of us who can live together and put our differences aside, we do. And those who won't, well, we give them our blessings.
So why can't that be achieved in Israel? If the Jewish people and the Muslim people in London Borough of Hackney can get on very well together, they have many shared values.
That's correct.
Why can't that be achieved in Israel?
There are too many outsiders who don't understand, I think, who put a block on certain things that could work. Instead of saying, okay, let's observe this. Let's see if we can work a better way around it. We condemn this and don't take any notice of the other. Instead of saying, let's be working together. Let's cooperate on something that we have in common, if you like. Let's look for the commonality and then work with that. I feel that'll be the way forward. Work with the things that will make peace, because peace doesn't come under the wing of an aeroplane. It comes when we sit together and talk.
Do you think there will be peace in your lifetime in Israel?
You know, I think in my mind, maybe it's simplicity on my side. I think unless there's peace in the Middle East, we won't have peace in the world. That's my thinking. You know, I just come back from Sinai Mountain. Had a week there. The Bedouins cook for us, and they had no trouble with us. We were all Christians in the wadis up there, and our leader was a Christian as well. And we all got on fun. We went to St. Catherine's, and that works very well, St. Catherine's Monastery, because there's a mosque within the church, and they pray simultaneously, you know.
Are you aware that the population of Christians living in Nazareth has gone down year in and year out over the last maybe 10, 15 years?
Yeah. I went to, when we did the Holocaust study at Yad Vashem, we worshipped with the Christians in Bethlehem. And the young people there said to us, one day you will come and the Nativity Square will be totally different. And he said, the young people are moving out and we are being hemmed in. And what I will carefully say is that they're not being hemmed in by the Israeli government. That's what I'm carefully saying, you know. It's others. They feel oppressed and hemmed in by other people, not the Israeli government. And they told us that. So, you know.
And you believe this?
Well, I've seen it often enough because each time I go to Bethlehem and I see what's happening. It's the environment changes.
Is this a concern for you?
Yes, of course, because we here come Christmas and time, especially Christmas time, we sing about Bethlehem, O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie, and all this kind of thing. And the reality is different today. Things are changing. And the Christian in Bethlehem feel threatened. That's why when we do go, we mustn't behave like tourists. We have to visit those people. We have to be friend with them, build friendship, and say we're here.
Do you think maybe if the members of the Jewish community and of the Muslim community that are living in Hackney at the moment were to transfer themselves to Israel and perhaps be the respective administration, there'd be peace? Because they work together, don't they, in the town hall?
Do you know what? I think they work together differently over there because they would not have the same. Here, it's because there isn't any. We have to live together. That's the other thing. We have to live together. We have to interact because what happens to me next door is affecting you next door, you know. So I think maybe it's a given why we end up having to do that. We do what we do differently, separately. Otherwise, we do other things together because it's a community.
And what do you tell the members of your parish about what's going on in Israel?
Well, they come with me. You know, I take them with me. And when I'm there, I talk to them. Like when we pass the wall.
This is the Western Wall?
Yeah. No. The other wall.
Oh, the wall.
Separation wall.
Okay, yeah.
And I say to them, I see that why it's a negative thing. But, it's the but. Since the wall has gone up, we haven't had any suicide bombers in a wedding, for instance. You know, what's the best that we can do to save ourselves? And what's the worst that we can do? I have no answer, but I have this wall symbolized.
But do members of your parish then understand why the wall has to be there?
Well, I explain to them, you know, I say, think about it. Before you condemn, go and think about it. It is true, the innocent suffer with the guilty. But at least I can save the life of my children when I'm having a celebration.
And finally, Vicar Rosemia, can you perhaps give a positive outlook to people watching this video? Can you give them a positive outlook for the future of the Jewish people, the future of the Muslim people in Israel, Palestine?
I will say to anyone who have something to say, good, bad or ugly, to go there if they can. Don't say, I'm not going there because they forget that Israelis are not necessarily Jewish. Yeah? Please go and see for yourself. Interact with the people who's there. Because when I go behind the wall. I go behind the wall. I go to Bethany. I go to the other people. And there are Israeli women who do that as well. They meet for peace, actually, once a year. And go and listen for themselves. Don't do politics outside it, because it's damaging. There are good things happening in Israel. There are many things. Patients coming to Israel hospital, but the things that people can't come through the wall to have medication, that's something needs to be worked upon. But Israel itself, whether we call it Israel or Palestine, is a good place. It's wonderful, I think, the way people talk to each other. They let you be. I've walked down Jerusalem with my collar on. A woman with a collar on in the middle of Jerusalem. Nobody stand back twice. And that's how comfortable it was.
That's how it should be.
Yes, indeed. So we need more of that, and if we are having a problem, go and feel for themselves. Go and see for themselves. Jesus used to like to say, come and see. Go and see.
Okay. Vicar Rosemia Brown from St James's in London Borough of Hackney. Thank you ever so much for joining Jewish Online Magazine.
You're very welcome.